Imagine you are 75 years old. You have a home. You have history. You have routines, relationships, land, and security. And then God speaks. Leave. Not next year. Not when things settle down. Now. Leave your country. Leave your people. Leave your father's household. Go to a land I will show you. No map. No timeline. No explanation. Just a promise. Who was Abraham? Before he became the father of faith, before his name was spoken in synagogues, churches, and mosques, before nations traced their spiritual ancestry back to him, he was Abram, a man living in Ur of the Chaldeans. Ur was not a desert wasteland. It was a thriving, developed city in Mesopotamia. Commerce, culture, stability. Abram was not a reckless wanderer. He had wealth, livestock, servants. He had standing. And yet, at 75, he walks away from everything familiar because he believes the voice of God. Scripture says simply, "So Abram went, as the Lord had told him." Faith begins with a step, but here's the tension. God's promise was staggering. "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you." There was only one problem. Abram had no child. His wife Sarai was barren, and they were old. In the ancient world, childlessness was more than personal sorrow. It meant no legacy, no future, no name carried forward. How do you become a great nation when you cannot even become a father? Years pass. Abram builds altars. He worships. He waits. But the promise does not materialize. Famine strikes the land. Abram goes down to Egypt, and there, fear overtakes faith. He tells Sarai to say she is his sister. The man who left everything to follow God is suddenly afraid to trust God with his own safety. This is important. The Bible does not hide Abraham's weakness. It does not polish him into a flawless hero. Because the story is not about human perfection. It is about divine faithfulness. Time continues. Still no child. Abram speaks honestly to God. "O sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless?" That question is not rebellion. It is relationship. Faith does not silence questions. Faith brings them to God. Then God does something remarkable. He takes Abram outside. "Look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, so shall your offspring be. An old man, a barren wife, a sky full of impossible promises." And Scripture says, Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. This is one of the most foundational statements in the Bible. Abram was not declared righteous because he performed perfectly. He was declared righteous because he trusted. Righteousness by faith. But faith is not linear. Waiting wears on the soul. Sarai grows impatient. She offers her servant Hagar to Abram. Perhaps this is how God will fulfill his promise. Abram agrees. Ishmael is born. It seems like progress, but it is not the promise. Human solutions often create human complications. God had not forgotten. God had not changed his mind. God was not late. He was preparing something impossible so that no one could mistake the source. When Abram is 99, God appears again. He changes his name from Abram, exalted father, to Abraham, father of many nations. Imagine being called father of many when you still have only one son, not born from the promise. God establishes a covenant, a binding relationship. "I will be your God, and you will be my people." And then, at last, the impossible happens. Abraham is 100 years old. Sarah is 90. Isaac is born. His name means laughter. At first, Sarah laughed in disbelief. Now she laughs in joy. The promise has a face. The covenant has a heartbeat. But then comes the most difficult moment in Abraham's life. God says, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there. This is the son of promise, the miracle child, the future of nations." Why would God ask this? Scripture tells us it was a test, not to inform God, but to reveal Abraham. Early the next morning, Abraham rises. No recorded protest. No negotiation, like when he prayed for Sodom. He splits the wood. He takes Isaac. They walk for 3 days. 3 days to think. 3 days to wrestle. 3 days to trust. At the foot of the mountain, Abraham tells his servants, "Stay here. The boy and I will go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you. We will come back." Somehow, Abraham believes that even if Isaac dies, God can still keep his promise. Hebrews later tells us that Abraham reasoned God could even raise the dead. Faith does not deny reality. It trusts God beyond it. Isaac asks the haunting question, "Father, the fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb?" Abraham answers, "God himself will provide the lamb." He binds his son. He raises the knife. And then a voice from heaven calls out, "Abraham! Abraham!" Do not lay a hand on the boy. A ram is caught in a thicket. God provides. Abraham names the place. The Lord will provide. Jehovah Jireh. This moment echoes forward in history. A father offering his beloved son. A substitute provided. A mountain in the region of Moriah. Centuries later, another son would carry wood up a hill, and no substitute would intervene. Abraham's story becomes a shadow of a greater sacrifice to come. So who was Abraham? He was not fearless. He was not flawless. He was not always patient. He was a man who left when God said leave. A man who waited when God seemed silent. A man who surrendered when God asked for everything. He failed. He questioned. He stumbled. But he kept trusting. That is why 3 world religions call him Father. That is why Paul points to him when explaining justification by faith. That is why his life still confronts us. Because the question Abraham faced is the question we face. Will you trust God when you cannot see the outcome? Will you believe the promise when the evidence says otherwise? Will you surrender the gift without losing faith in the giver? Abraham did not see all the stars. He did not witness the full unfolding of nations. He lived in tents, never fully possessing the land. Yet he moved forward as if the promise were already real. Faith is not knowing every detail. Faith is knowing the one who speaks. And Abraham believed, even when he could not see, even when it made no sense, even when it cost him everything. That is who Abraham was, and the invitation of his story still stands.